that to be interpreted, so to speak, right? And you know, I'm just glad it worked out that way because I didn't want to hear any of these Steeler fans because I know how they are, and I'm glad I don't have to hear their mess. They were salty as hell, talking about the refs were on your side. Stop. You know, I'll talk about this and we'll get in the next grade. The play with Slay, right? And what's the guy's name? Washington is his last name?
Gardner
No.
Washington.
Yeah.
Absolute monster. 6'8"
He-
tight end out of Georgia.
Yeah. He's drafted for that. And I don't care what anybody says. I love Mike Tomlin, but his teams have a penchant for going overboard on certain things. Hines Ward was known as a dirty player, even though people love him. He would take some cheap shots on defensive players. I know that's weird for people to say, but he was known for that. And that happens often with those Steeler teams because Mike Tomlin, he tells the players to play rough and tough, and that's how they roll. So I'm not surprised to try to throw them in the stands.
Hey, Godfrey, speaking of some I felt might have been a little dirty. Correct me if I'm just being a homer here, but there's felt to be a part in the game where they was trying to take Saquon out. I feel like they were trying to take Saquon out, right? And that's dirty Bush League play.
They were very dirty during the game.
Yeah.
The play that everyone's arguing, the Philadelphia Eagles should 100% count their blessings. That was an awful call by the officials. We got
Jalen Carter.
No, forget that. That was called right. It's just that's why they reviewed it. The call where Darnell Washington shoved Slay into the should have been a 15-yard personal foul. But if you watch on that play, Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell, who's become one of my favorite Eagles, both threw punches. At minimum, you have to give them a 15-yard penalty there, and that needs to be offsetting. That should not have been two 15-yard penalties on the Steelers. There should have been a personal foul on Philadelphia in that play. I'm an Eagles fan. I'm going to tell you.
Hey, you know what? As many times as we don't get the call, let's ride.
That's
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the name of James Bradbury pass interference, we will accept that call.
100%. But that's what they're arguing about. That's what they're talking about.
I hear that.
Mike Tomlin played right into it, Godfrey. He played right into it. He goes, we're one personal foul away from being tied in this game.
No, you're not.
Halftime.
No, you're not.
Halftime. Well, all right. Here's the thing. I love when Mike Tomlin's like, get the F away from me. But here's the thing about that. If you notice, those penalties take a lot of time to kind of play out. The eye in the sky is looking at it, right? And I'm sorry. You have Mr. Washington do that because he is your goon on your team, and you want to take a player out that could be a key part of the team. That was purposeful, and your plan got spoiled. And part of me thinks that the officiating crew in the eye in the sky look at that because a lot of times they try to splice that stuff out when it gets crazy like that. But yeah, dude, I mean, what do you want the guy to do if he's trying to literally throw him in a stance? He's going blindside Michael Orr on him on purpose. And then I'm sorry. The dude wanted to defend himself.
Deserved a 15-yard penalty. Slay through a punch though, bro. I can't look at, and first of all, Cool is exactly right. We never get those calls. We never get things that far away.
But you're right. But you are right. It was, you throw punches that should at least been a penalty. You are right. But you know what? It felt good for one time for it to go against somebody else. It felt good.
100%. I will say this, though. As a whole, the officiating was kind of down the middle. I felt like they missed some calls on us. I felt like they missed some calls on Pittsburgh. But that play particular that Mike Tomlin mentioned, that Steelers fans are mentioning, yeah, we got lucky on that play. No doubt in my mind. Now, did the Steelers obviously go overboard? They went overboard all game. You could have called numerous personal fouls on them. They were dirty as hell that game. That's what they were, right? They were diving at legs. And I'm kind of glad that, just being real, I'm kind of glad that Saquon Barkley didn't have to play a ton in that game. And then you can save his legs and you can save what he was doing because they were trying to hurt him. And the game plan of that football game, you can't tell me anything different for Pittsburgh, was we are not going to let Saquon Barkley run for 100 yards on us. That's what it is.
He never has.
I've seen a lot of Steelers games, and Mike Tomlin's defense has played like that his whole coaching career.
100%.
This is not a new thing. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, shit, here we go. Here we go. Time, we're playing the Steelers. With that, when he blocked him into the damn front row, I was like, oh, man, it's going to be one of these games? I'm like, okay. But I love that Quinyon Mitchell came out of nowhere. It was like, yo.
They haven't been 65.
Yeah. But they just they're known for that. And you know what? It didn't work this time because they knew that they were coming in shorthanded and they were trying to gain an advantage on us. It was almost like I was watching a basketball game strangely. Send in the goon. Send in the goon.
That's fair.
They sent it in there, Dennis Rodman on us.
Yeah, that's what that dude's a freakish big guy, and he's got some don't get me wrong, he's got athletic ability, but you didn't draft him for his receiving prowess. You know what I mean? That dude is almost like an extra tackle. Like seriously, that could run fast and catch the ball. I'm just saying.
He was actually a very good receiver at Georgia.
He was.
Brock Bowers ran two tight end sets constantly. I think Darnell Washington's got a huge history in the league. I think he'll be a very good tight end for years and years to come. But that was not his proudest moment as far as shoving little Darius Slay into the wall. That's like pushing around a 15-year-old as an adult.
Right.
Yeah, it looked like Mark Henry or Spike Dudley. I was like, yo, what's going on here, man? Like,
good reference.
But anyway, we get A's across the board for Jalen. So that might be the first time this year he's got A's across the board. Am I correct?
Probably so.
Yeah. A's across A+ across the board. So hell of a game, Brian. So next, I guess, let's move on to this defense.
Okay.
I gotta give them an A. I don't really have a problem with what they did. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of the stats, and I'm looking from what I saw. I mean, less than 20 points. Deontay Johnson. No, not Deontay Johnson. I'm sorry. Why is he on there? Anyway, damn AI. Russell Wilson had a touchdown, 14 of 22. Najee Harris had 12 carries for 33 yards. I mean, they didn't get to really end the fumble, that was amazing. I was like, okay, that was a game changer too. That was really a momentum shifter. That fumble was huge.
Agreed.
So,
they had 163 total yards, Godfrey.
Who did?
The Steelers, 163 total yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an A. That's an A performance.
Yeah. A performance. Eugene, you were telling me about the grades, but I did notice Nakobe Dean. We were talking about him, and the guy that I want you to speak to, and both you guys, Nolan Smith, man, this guy's coming along, right?
Nolan Smith had 3 Harrys. He had 5 tackles. He had a sack. He was the second highest graded defensive player by PFF. I mean, Nolan Smith looked great in this football game. I love the way Nolan Smith played in this game, and I'll say this: I love how our young players are developing. Last year, when you watched a lot of these young players play, did it seem like they were getting better under our defensive coordinator? Did it seem like they were improving? I didn't.
No, it did not. At all. As the year went on, it did not.
You can watch these players develop and get better game in and game out. Were there plays that I wish we could have back? Sure. Jalen Carter can't punch that guy in the head on special teams. And we'll get into that conversation with him and Nick Sirianni. Shouldn't have happened, right?
He showed his ass on the play. The rest will be looking for that in the future. That's for sure.
I mean, he got lucky that the punt was already off when they called the foul. So, but there's definitely plays that I wish we had it back. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, couple plays I wish we could have had back. But as a whole, as an overall defense, I can't give them anything less than an A. I won't give them an A+, but I'll give them an A.
Cool. What say you?
Yeah, you got to give him an A. You got to give this defense an A, right? What's up, old man? But you got to get his defense an A. The reason you got to get his defense an A is because of what he said. And I will even say this about Nolan Smith. I said coming out of college, this dude was going to be good for us. Think about Hassan Reddick with more pass covering ability, right? You're not going to be that right away. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Hassan Reddick was for us, but he'll be in that same mold of a player. But you have to have someone to develop you. What have we lamented for years? We've gotten in great young defensive players and they sucked, constantly sucked, right? Unless they were really great. That's not the player. That's the team. That's the guys that are developing them. So now we've got guys that can develop young guys to their strengths. Anytime a guy comes into the league, he's not going to be a perfect player. You work on the things that he can do. You scheme things for him where you give him opportunities for what they can do while you develop. Because you can't have guys sit 2-3 years in the NFL now. You got to have them play and develop. Now you can have them play a small amount and then continue to build them up as it goes, but you can't just let them sit on the bench, and especially for us this year. So Nolan Smith being as good as he's been for us this year, I felt it was coming. I felt we should have got to see some of this last year, but we didn't. But
well, I think you were saying last year.
Last year was across the club. It sucked.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is a new year. We've got a guy that's not going to play games at the defense coordinator position. He's not going to listen to somebody who's going to make suggestions to do things that he doesn't think is going to work for the guys that he has. And he has the veteranship, we'll say, the longevity that no one's going to come to him and say, hey, you need to listen to what such and such tells you. They're going to let him do his thing. It's working. This is what we needed on the defensive side of the ball, and we've got it. And I don't believe this is the last week we're going to be giving this defense A's.
Yeah. Yep. And Vic will be here as long as he wants to be here. That's part of the reason why I think the Eagles wanted him after Gannon left. And he'll be here as long until he retires. I don't see him going anywhere personally. So,
well, unless they fire the coach, then the coach is going to have his say on who wants the defensive coordinator to be.
Will they? Because the Eagles sometimes don't do that.
I don't think that. I don't think he still would be gone. I think they'd be like, if you're coming here,
you have to be
your DC. If you don't want Vic Fangio as your DC, kick rocks.
I don't want to say this, but Merrill Reese said it, and he's an all-time great. And he said from his own mouth, Vic Fangio reminds him of Jim Johnson. Literally said that, and I was like, wow, okay.
Some of the same demeanor and stuff. I agree, and you see how hard guys are playing. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be exactly the same to be very similar to somebody, right?
Yep.
Highest rated Eagles defender this week, Nakobe Dean. I say it again. I've been a huge Nakobe Dean fan since he came out of Georgia. I was so happy when they drafted him in the third round. I'm finally seeing what I've seen in Georgia. I'm finally getting to see him actually be able to, understand his assignments, know where he needs to be at, hit the holes. He's been an above average tackler. He's been great in the run. He's been better in the pass. I'm super happy with what we're seeing out of our linebackers. It's been a long time since the Philadelphia Eagles had some linebackers.
Since we cared about linebackers.
Yeah. Dude, listen. This streak of 20 points or fewer is the longest streak they've had since 98. I think 98 might be the last time we actually had some real linebackers. So, I mean, they better, Zach Bond's on a 1-year deal, but I don't care. You better get him to stay here. Do what you got to do, Howie, because I cannot live with I can't live with Nate Wayne-esque linebackers, Mark Semino-esque linebackers anymore.
What are we waiting for? Let's get it done. Get her done. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Don't even let him hit the free agency market because dude showed me he's all over the place too. Like
the season end with him still not being signed. What is we doing?
Yeah, right.
They'll make it work.
Yeah, for sure. Hunt's getting involved. I see him on the field. There's not many people I don't see playing.
Bryce Huff, he might be out there the next week or two. I mean, he looked a lot better the last couple of times he played in the beginning because the beginning you like, yo. Yeah, that was a waste of money. That was a garbage move. But now he at least like, all right, maybe he hasn't played up to the contract, but at least he's contributed.
How about Grant Calcaterra making some nice catches?
As long as he can keep away from the concussions, we good with him. I mean, it's never been a doubt that he can make plays. Injuries were the big thing for him. That man had retired and came back to football because of concussions. So if we can keep that away from him, which has been so far, that's a guy that can be definitely a solid tight end number 2 for us. I don't know if he's our future number 1, but he can be a solid, tight end for us.
You want to talk about unsung hero in that game? You talked about Grant Calcaterra. The unsung hero in that game was Kenneth Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell on that third down play, that spin move that he put on to get that first down on that opening drive, what he brought to the team outside when Saquon Barkley was on the bench. Kenny Gainwell played his ass off. Give him all the credit in the world.
He did.
He did.
He was even one of our elite performances of the game yesterday.
Love that.
That never happens with Kenneth Gainwell.
I thought you called him Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, you would think that Kenny Gainwell is playing like he's an unrestricted free agent next season. Oh, he is.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be re-signing them regardless.
No, I know, but it's some players, a lot of players, they give that extra oomph in that free agent year. You know what I'm saying? Like their backs up against
that move he put though, that move and the move Jalen Hurts put on Patrick Queen. Those two moves. Ooh, I think Patrick Queen's still stuck in the turf.
And then Saquon, man, I can never talk about it enough. My man did a reverse jump over, landed and kept running. Like that's an all-time move.
Yeah. Also, the only thing that fumble with Jalen Hurts, I can never fault him for making an effort about it, but I like to see him kind of go down in that situation.
Yeah, especially with a broken finger on the hand. Like, where are you trying to change the ball in that situation? And you got a broken finger. Like, come on, man, you gotta just think. But nobody's perfect, How
about the defense though? Both fumbles in our territory allowed 3 total points.
Yep,
crazy.
Locked them down, and that's a big part of like success. Then the defense got to chill in the fourth because we had a long 10-minute drive. Because
that drive might have been one of the great. Bro, you know what that drive reminded me of? Remember 2017 at the Chargers? That 8-minute drive with LeGarrette Blount just taking the air out of the ball.
2017, I start smiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are correct.
That was ridiculous. Like they must have felt so helpless on the Pittsburgh sideline.
They started on their own 3 and end it with a kneel down on 1st and goal. 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yep.
Mike Tomlin punted them ball with 9 minutes and 43 seconds left on the clock. They did not see the ball again.
You know what's hilarious is like people, especially in Pittsburgh, are like, should you have punted the ball? There's 9 minutes left. What do you mean should you have punted the ball? Like, like
Miller,
you didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Helping my man, old man Rob out here.
Yeah, start Kendry Miller. Never Tajay Spears over Kendry Miller, who's starting without Alvin Kamara. And anyway, yeah. But you want more of that. Old man, definitely come to the next show. But yeah, Kendry Miller for sure. That could win you a championship. I think he's going to have some good games, but we'll see what happens with that. So that brings us to coaching, right?
We do offensive like play calling, offense like the offense outside of Jalen.
Yeah. So, I don't have a problem. I'm going to give an A. I don't really have an issue. So I didn't see anything. Really,
you have an issue with your pass game. 22 targets go between AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They catch 21 of them. 21 receptions between the two of them for over 200 yards.
No,
everybody leaves that game happy. As long as Saquon's healthy, I'm happy.
Yeah. Can't have a problem after that long drive at the end too, and just they imposed their will on the Steelers at that point, and just the Steelers aren't used to that happening to them. And it's not a bad team. Eagles are beating good teams. Steelers are not a bad team. They beat good teams. The Eagles, I mean, they ran through the whole AFC North, right? And undefeated against them, 4-0. And the Steelers and the Ravens were going to be the 2 toughest ones, most likely. And they handled it. They handled the best quarterback. Well, arguably the best passer, I'm going to say, in that division. They handled Joe Burrow. And on the road, I mean, just I'm ecstatic. I haven't seen a defense like this in a while. And listen, dumb play by Jalen Carter, but I like that he's got a little nasty in him. I like that.
Oh, bro, I would much rather have that nasty on my side than against me.
Yeah.
I would much rather have that. But look, can we talk about what happened on the sideline?
Sure. Kick it off.
I give all the credit in the world to what was the defensive line coach name? Come on, cool. I know you know.
He's in the verse. There he goes.
What?
You were in the multiverse in my end for a second, but you're back.
The defensive line coach for the Eagles.
Clint Hurt.
There you go. Him and Big Dom getting in between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Carter is 100%. So I'm so thankful for them too. Hey, Nick, you need to get the hell out of here. We'll handle it. That man is crazy, right? Like, I honestly, if you told me in 4 years from now, Jalen Carter got into a fight and murdered someone, I wouldn't think that was crazy out of him. Like Nick Sirianni, I'm serious. He's a psycho. He's always been a psycho. Nick Sirianni's screaming at his face. You can see Jalen Carter's face. Nah, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are doing a phenomenal job by having the right people around him. By having the right people around him to kind of control that emotion and put it towards what needs to happen.
Yeah, because there's a way that you handle that type of situation with your best defensive lineman right now. If we're talking about your 4th or 5th defensive lineman and you want to go yell at him, okay. But your top defensive lineman, that's a hit the shoulder pad. Hey man, you just gotta calm down and focus, bro. That's the conversation, because you don't want him to lose the edge at all. You don't want to piss him off. You just want to keep him focused and just let him know, just be a little bit smarter on how you handle the situation. But running up to people yelling, like that's honestly, Nick, you could have got stolen, got your nose broke.
That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
But Clint Hurts a big boy.
Yeah.
That man stood right there. He's like, nah, Nick, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. You get out of here, we'll handle this. And that's you got to understand that. Like it feels to me like Nick just has to do something every game for us to talk about. Like he wants to be noticed for something. And he doesn't care if it's bad. He just wants to be noticed for something. And that was his thing. And you got noticed for it. Congratulations. But
keep stepping in.
Knocked out for it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a message that needed to be delivered, but his delivery should have been different, right? So,
I didn't think he needed to deliver the message though, Godfrey. Like,
well, it wasn't a smart play by Jalen. I mean,
right? But you have other people that can deliver that message that have more of a connection with him, right? But like I said,
yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there.
Yeah, if you're going to deliver it, make it positive,
bro. I'll tell you right now,
positive talking.
Cool. You know who delivered that message perfectly, and he did it right on the field. Sorry to keep bringing the man's name up, and the Kobe Dean. When you looked when they before they went to break, when they were about to go back on defense, and Jalen Carter is telling them, "Come back on the field. We need to come back on the field." The Kobe Dean got right up in that grill and told him, and you can see Jalen Carter nod his head. I got you. Yeah. Come back on the field. We're gonna get off this field right now. I'm gonna help you get off this field.
No, I messed up. I'm gonna get this right.
Yeah. Clint Hurt, Nakobe Dean, Big Dom. Those are the people you want delivering that message to him, not Nick Sirianni. That's what
Big Dom. Wait, it's great. Big Dom's delivering a message, but like, is Big Dom a football coach?
His job. His job.
I would rather Big Dom than Nick.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather Clint Hurt than Big Dom, but I get it. I mean,
bro, Big Dom is the 5th most important coach on that sideline. He is.
He ain't even a coach. It's crazy.
They gave him a role. They gave him
but you're not wrong. Title. You're not wrong though.
What's his title?
Hold on, I got you.
Is he like
they gave him a role. Senior advisor to the general manager, director of game day coaching operations, and chief security officer to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Did they do that so he couldn't get banned from the sideline?
That's exactly why they did.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, listen, we know Dom's got naked pictures of someone cheating on their wife, so you better take care of Dom.
You say that, bro. I think he's super important.
No, he knows all the dirt.
You and me have a different idea.
Dom can keep Nick Sirianni halfway under control on that sideline, and that's why he's there.
Well, listen, I don't dislike Big Dom. I think it's funny though. It's just that this guy.
You're talking about somebody who's got naked pictures. That's how Roseman's got naked pictures of somebody.
Yeah, this guy is not a football coach, but now he's got 3 different titles. I just think it's funny to me. That's all. That's so Philadelphia. But least of our worries. I'm pretty sure Dom's pretty well liked. I mean, he even got into the Kelsey commercial. So
they say all the time he's the first person to meet them at the airport. When a player comes in, he's the first person. He's the guy to introduce him to the city, that talks to him. He's the guy that talks them up. I'm telling you, Godfrey, I'm telling you right now, it's Sirianni. Well, I won't even say that. It's Fangio, Sirianni, Kellen Moore, and then Big Dom. It's the 4th most important non-player on that sideline.
Well, I will give you one pushback. You got to put Jeff Stoutland up there somewhere.
Stoutland, that's why I said 5th. But you got Stoutland, you got Clint Hurt. Clint Hurt used to be a defensive coordinator for the Seahawks. Yeah. I just forgot his name. But they got a really good coaching staff around Nick Sirianni. He's a big dude.
He's a big dude, man. If
bro,
Clint Hurt stand up and get in my face,
bro.
Yeah, if Clint Hurt stand up and get in my face and start yelling, I'm gonna be like, my fault, man. I don't know why you mad, but my fault. And I'm gonna leave.
There was
That's a
4
big
guys
group.
over there. It was Jalen Carter, Big Dom, Clint Hurt, and Nick Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Sirianni looked like a fish out of water.
And all the other players that kind of walked away like, yeah, ain't nah.
Yep. Yeah. That was
There's gotta be something to Nick. He got to be mentioned. Good job, Nick. You got your mention for the week.
yeah, it's just it's definitely laid to rest. We don't feel a late season collapse coming. I mean, I wasn't feeling that, but I definitely feel very secure after those last win that you will not see anything close to that repeat. Now, what happens to the playoffs? It's another story because it's all hands on deck for every team at that point. But I'm excited, So, which brings us to, what are the chances of the Eagles getting the number 1 seed? I know there's some things that can happen. Gene, if you'd like to take the lead on breaking that down for us, I know that the tiebreaker is given to the Vikings if they finish with the same record and the Lions lose another game. Am I correct? And we would be a number 2 seed.
Tiebreaker to the Vikings or the Lions. The odds of
If
us
the Vikings beat the Lions or the Lions beat the Vikings, then whoever wins that game will get the tiebreaker because the problem is both of our losses are in the NFC.
So the
That's
odds
the
of the Eagles getting the number 1 seed are slim to none, and Slim has left the building.
Well, here's the thing. If the Lions lose twice, which is possible because the Niners are fighting for a playoff spot.
No, they're not.
A playoff spot? What playoff spot are they fighting for?
They still got a shot.
Bro.
They may be mathematically not eliminated, but they're out.
They're 0.84%.
Yeah, they're done.
Less than 1%.
Right.
They're done.
They're cooked.
They had guys walk off the field this week, Godfrey.
They had to do
with Devondre Campbell. Yeah, I mean,
walked off the field. I'm done.
I don't know if that's
John Lynch for suspending him and not cutting him so he can't join another team. Suspended without pay. I love that.
They're trying to do it without pay, but the players union is not allowed. Is pushing back on the no pay for all 3 games.
Suspended him so they don't cut him, and he can't sign with another team. I love that.
But I do like that part. I do like that. Even if they
why would a team sign a guy like that though? Like, why would you sign a guy like that?
Respect the cause. I mean, you're trying to get players, man. You want a backup.
You don't think Detroit would sign a guy like that because they need an edge rusher with all their defensive players going down?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't think Dan Campbell thinks he can get through to him?
Yeah,
maybe.
Dan Campbell does think he can get through to a mass murderer.
I don't know if that's a guy he can get through to. I mean, but listen. Well, the Niners might not make the playoffs, but that's a game on the road. The Lions had that defense is a mash unit right now.
So
they're pulling guys from everybody's practice squad, and the Bills beat them, and I could definitely see them losing 2 out of 3. Now that's a long shot. They're going to obviously come out and try to outscore their opponent, keep them off the field by running the ball.
You see a lot to happen though, bro. You need the Vikings to lose too. You need the Vikings to lose to somebody that's not the Lions. I don't know how you want to play that. I mean, I guess the Vikings could lose to the Packers.
That's possible.
I guess you need the Vikings to lose to the Packers, the Eagles to win out, and then the Vikings to beat the Lions in Detroit.
Actually, I might have this.
I mean, look, the Vikings have to go on the road to play the Seahawks, who I believe are still fighting for a playoff spot, or maybe the division actually. And the Packers, they're trying to win that game for positioning, and then that game might mean something at the end of the year. But if we get lucky, and they both lose 2 out of 3, and it's for the division, then we're good, right?
Yeah. I mean, we need to take care of business, which I don't think we're going to. I'm just being real.
I don't think we're going to win all 3 of these games. Yeah,
I think they lose this week.
I can't pinpoint a certain one, but I don't think we're going to win all 3.
I'll tell you, man, I do this thing with my friends every Monday. I go into work in the morning and I'm talking. I pull up the spreads. I have somebody pull up the spreads and I try to guess what they are. And the Eagles Washington Commanders spread, I'm like, oh, it's got to be like 6. Like, has to be 6. Commanders barely beat the Saints. Eagles just beat down on the Steelers. It's got to be like 6. It's 3.5. 65% of money's on Philadelphia. It's not moving. If the Eagles win this football game, I guarantee you it will be a close 1-possession field goal game. It is it's a game where Washington gets their get back. These teams play each other all the time, twice a year, and the game in Washington always seems to be a high-scoring game always seems to be more of an offensive battle than it is a defensive battle. And I don't like the looks of this game this week. Washington's fired up. They had their trap game last week. They get their chance at the division rival this week. They get to get closer to locking up their playoff spot by winning this week. Yeah, this is not a good week for Philadelphia, in my opinion.
So, yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win out. So,
okay.
Listen, they'll win out. This is the only game that could be the bugaboo on the schedule for me. The Giants and Dallas have nothing to play for. Okay. I think that the Eagles have everything to play for. And I think that there's part of that room that is playing for legacy. And what I mean by legacy is they want to see Saquon get that record. The offensive line wants to get that record. Okay. And if there's an offensive line that can get that record, it's this offensive line. Now, people might say they shouldn't do it. I say, you're not a winner then, because guess what? You play to win the game in the name of Herman Edwards, and they're going to win the games. I think, the problem I think with watching Washington, and I watch a lot because I have a lot of Terry McLaurin shares in fantasy football. They're a good team. Like I said, that offensive line has played improved. Okay. It was a fairly close game somewhat, but I don't know if Jaden Daniels has progressed to the point where he's ready for a Vic Fangio offense running on all 8
He has not progressed at all. He's actually gotten worse as the season goes on.
I don't see how they win it. I mean, outside of Terry McLaurin, who are you worrying about? Austin Eckler still going to be hurt?
No, he's out. Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson's there. Good back. Okay. Their other back is either Chris Rodriguez or Jeremy McNichols. You got Zach Ertz. Okay. No Yak Zach. And you got Terry McLaurin. I think Brown is done for the season. Am I worried about Luke McCaffrey? Listen, if we lose to this team, I'm disappointed. They should put their foot on their necks. And I will take the 3-point spread and run to the bank with it.
I hope you're right, bro. I really hope you're right.
I mean, what are the keys to winning the game? We're going to jump into this preview, right? I mean,
sure. I'll start. I think the biggest key to winning a football game is for Kellen Moore to figure out Dan Quinn, for Jalen Hurts to figure out Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn has had Jalen Hurts' number since he's been in the league. Now, granted, the last time we played Washington, remember, we had 6 points going into the fourth quarter, and the run game went wild in that fourth quarter. But Jalen had one of his worst games this year, and in my opinion, he was concussed in that football game in the second quarter. I felt like it was a Thursday. I thought it was a Thursday night, but I don't know, man. I think the key to victory is Jalen Hurts needs to come out and throw the ball like he did versus the Pittsburgh Steelers again. I think this is not a run first game. I think this is a game where we have to establish passing the football. Washington did everything they could to slow down Saquon Barkley in the first half of that game in Philadelphia. Now, what happened was the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line beat on them and eventually beat them in the submission. If the Washington Commanders were scoring points and the Eagles needed to score with them, they did not have the ability to do that the first 3 quarters of that football game. Granted, the defense played out of their mind to slow down Jaden Daniels in that offense. I think the key to victory right now is Jalen Hurts being able to pass the football.
Yeah. What do you think, Cool?
I definitely think the pass game is going to be a key. Also, balance. I think you want to be balanced against Washington because you can gouge them at times.
Yeah.
Right. Their secondary isn't the best. Guys like St. Jude's, they're just not starters in the NFL at this point unless they make a big jump. Right. So they have some issues on the defensive side of the ball. And that's why we can really gouge them because we have a very strong offense if it's hitting on all cylinders. We can run the ball. Hopefully Saquon will be able to play because I want him to get 2,000. I want him to get the record if he can. So hopefully he'll be able to play. Maybe he'll be a little bit more limited, which is fine because he's explosive enough. He almost had a couple of explosive runs against the Steelers, right? He had one where he tripped on the left side of the field. That would have been probably another 15, 20 yards easy if he didn't trip. He had one of the middle where he spun and he just couldn't keep his balance. That probably would have been a big run. Look at the hole that was there. So he can get his in limited carries. We know that. We're aware of that. Gainwell, at least for a week, was really good. So maybe, he can get his as well. We can work them in the passing game. I think exactly what we did last week against the Steelers. Take what's there and take our time. Get the lead early and take our time. That's something that was kind of new. So I'm sitting there watching the game like, wow, we got like 10 points in the first quarter. Like, what the? Like, I'm not used to that, right? Like, I'm confused because that's not what they've shown me all year. So we can continue to do things like that. And then defensively, we have a quarterback that's similar to Jaden Daniels and what he does. You practice against a guy that's similar to what he does. You know, Jaden Daniels might be a little bit more of a explosive runner, but still do a lot of the same things. So he shouldn't be able to get out on us a lot because you practice against somebody with the same skill set. Running the ball, we just got to tackle. We got to make a concerted effort to say we're tackling people. We're going to treat them like we're going to treat whoever's in their backfield like they're Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Like, honestly, just go at them hard. Gap integrity is always important. Don't over pursue anybody, you know, and communicate. You know, Washington plays us hard no matter if they are trash or if they're a good team. So I think a blowout is unrealistic based on what was happening the last 5 years against the Commanders, right? So it's just a matter of weathering the storm and going out there and scoring more points, and that's all we gotta do. We don't have to worry about how cute the win is or how sexy it is, and you know how many yards we get and all that. We just gotta go out there and beat their buttons, score more points. That's what's gonna take the win.
Listen, their secondary stinks. If Derek Carr doesn't get hurt, or if Derek Carr was the quarterback of the Saints last week, they're gonna lose that game. They were brought to the brink. The coach went for it on 2. You know, I watched Spencer Rattler get a must touchdown against the team, and one of the vulnerabilities of the Commander.
Patrick Mahomes.
See what?
You mean the wish Patrick Mahomes?
Oh yeah, the wish Patrick Mahomes or the Temu Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, definitely is a wish Patrick Mahomes. So I was just like,
I thought that was the kid from Nebraska.
Yeah, who is that kid?
Spencer Rattler, bro. That is the wish Patrick Mahomes. Just look at it.
Have you seen Nebraska's quarterback, bro? Oh my God. He is Dylan Raiola. Let me show you this real quick.
I've seen
now.
This is so wild to me.
Is he now? Is he a similar player?
He wants nothing more than to be Patrick Mahomes.
I mean,
like I'm dead serious, bro. When you see the side by side, you're gonna be, what the hell am I looking at? I'm gonna pull it up.
Funny.
I'm gonna pull it up for you.
Maybe Patrick Mahomes' dad's got some explaining to do.
Bro, it's wild. Hold on, I got you.
Wow, it is pretty wild. He looks like his little brother. It looks like Patrick Mahomes' little brother.
Bro, I got you.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, he wants to be Patrick Mahomes. He's trying to be
wild, bro.
The thing, what's funny though is
we got off topic, but
Rattler ain't even trying, and he looked like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Raiola is really trying.
Crazy.
He didn't went and got the hairstyle and everything. Like, he trying to be. Like, the funny part of me with Rattler is he ain't even trying. He just does. He looks like the wish Patrick Mahomes.
Temu.
Yeah.
Or Temu, whichever one you want to go.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sometimes you get quality stuff off Temu. Sometimes.
And sometimes you don't.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. That's why you always pay with PayPal. But like, I didn't get it. But anyway, you know, yeah, listen, I watched them barely hold on to that game. Like, they're an improved team this year. Don't get me wrong. They're not a horrible team. Don't get me wrong either. I know the Eagles, you know, have had some hiccups. You know, people talk about the Panthers game, but the Panthers were playing people tough before they played us, right? Not how the Eagles wanted to look. However, when I look at the Commanders, you know, this is a team that sets up for play action and giving up big plays, big running plays, big pass plays. I mean, Valdez-Scantling had 64 yards on him last week, and that's all he is a big pass play guy. I have to venture, if Carr was in there, they would have had more than that, and they would have been in trouble as a defense. They got past that game. They won, but I don't think that's going to happen in Philadelphia, and it is in Philadelphia, right? Am I wrong?
Washington.
Is it?
No, it's in Washington. We played them in Philadelphia already, sir.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, Jonathan Allen returns this week too, so that's a guy, bro.
I will be at this game, but it's my daughter's birthday, or I would be there. So
yeah, listen, Jonathan Allen is a guy. That is true. But I just feel like I just don't see them not being able to take advantage of it. They're running on all cylinders. If they trip up of the last 3 games, this is probably the one where I would give it to. But if they get through this, they bust through this wall, I think they went out 100%.
This is one of the games by any means necessary. Punch, claw, scratch.
We just got to win this. But I do think Dallas is motivated to try to beat us the week after that.
Yep.
Right. They're not very good, but they're motivated to beat us. Like we're gonna get the best version of Dallas that they can give us. Right. Because that's all they got to play for. All they have left is to try to beat us. They have nothing after that to play for.
They asked Michael Parsons this week. They said, are you rooting for Philadelphia to beat Washington so to keep your playoff hopes alive? He goes, nah, F Philly. I can't. I'm not doing that. I don't care.
Well, listen.
We feel the same way about you, Micah. 100%. Every time you walk on the field.
Yeah, well, they better worry about getting past Baker Mayfield because he might listen. All I know is this. That
Baker better give me 350 and 3 touchdowns on this Dallas defense for real.
Yeah, I mean, Overshown is gone for the season. Micah Parsons is just dejected. Just make him an Eagle already. He's dejected. All right. He does not. He wants to play. You can tell the dude's playing his ass off. And when you see losses like they've had, it's pretty bad. But these men are NFL athletes, and they're not gonna just lay down out there. But I just think it's gonna be talent versus talent. And when I look at the roster, we're way deeper than they are at this point. And give me Cooper Rush all day, every day in Philly.
Yeah, but even with talent, like we lost 2 games against teams that I don't feel had the same level of talent as we do, but they still beat us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can't be beat.
But when was that? That was in the first 4 games of the season.
But it still was this season. I mean,
it was. But
it's not like, to me, we're not an unbeatable team. We're a good team.
No, we're not unbeatable.
We're not like a super juggernaut who we're just gonna run through everybody. And you play the Eagles, we're gonna pick your eyes out and throw you in the desert and let you just die like this.
We're gonna bite your kneecaps off.
Yeah, none of that. It's not that, but we are beatable. And I hear a lot of people like say, "Oh, there's no way we're going to lose this team or this team." There's ways to lose every week. All it takes is one bad play, one Nick Sirianni blunder on the coaching, right? Play calling that could really hurt the team. I mean, I feel like we should win, but I feel like we go into a lot of games like there's no way we're going to lose this game. Like, really? No way?
Well, there's some games that I thought we would lose. Baltimore was definitely one of them when I'm looking at the beginning of the season. But the first 4 weeks of the season, in my opinion, in the NFL, and a lot of people say this, it's like the preseason now. And your teams are rounding out in the first 3 to 4 games every year. Some people get out to a fast start more than others. Baltimore seems to be one of them always.
But it's still the same. What I'm saying, though, is it's still the same for everybody. It's not like
right.
So I just
feel like the Eagles are rounded into a different team since then. I don't think if you're looking at them now versus week 3, 4,
we
1.
talked about on here, Godfrey. We can name 3 games off the top of our heads if we try that we could have lost real easily.
Yeah,
all bounces one way, we lose that game. Like Nat Booty, like that type.
Bro,
sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Right? Jaguars, bro.
But I'm just saying, when you have those
I would have
games,
been pissed if that happened.
I look at it and I say, all right, I'm glad we won, but that tells me all I need to know. We got to go out there and play, and we can't take anybody for granted.
No, not at all. Not at all. But if they're playing in form, which they have, unless they hit a bump, I just don't see it. I see the Eagles winning. We can start giving score predictions. Yep. I see this game being a 31-13 win by the Eagles.
I'd love that. Be right. I hope everything you say is right. Want me to go?
Maybe 31-17, but I'm going 31-13.
I got it 26-23 Washington.
Woo! I'm going to go for my big one is 35-17. I think I've used that like 5 times this year. It's never been right, but we won all the games that I used it, so I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we'll see. I hope you're wrong, but I do get that there's a history of Washington effing with us at the end of the year.
So Godfrey, when is the last time that you remember us beating down the Commanders?
Like beating them? You mean like handily?
Like beating them by multiple scores?
Yep.
Let's see. No, they had to come back and win last second in that game. That was last year. Not many, but this is. I just feel that way because of the defense, and I feel we would have beat them by multiple scores if Jalen and me and
But you have to realize
wasn't concussed
divisional
unofficially.
You got to realize the divisional game.
Divisional game, yep.
They're still trying to make the playoffs. They're still
Mhm.
not a lock, right? So they've got a lot to play for. And I'm not saying we're going to lose, but I'm saying we got to look at this game and not be surprised if it ends up a lot closer than even I predicted.
2018, 24-0. Last time they blew them out.
Yeah.
I think
28.
Cliff Kingsbury figured out a way to be successful with Jaden Daniels playing a certain type of game plan. The first 2 games of the season were dreadful. I thought the kid was never going to throw the ball. Okay. And then they started to throw the ball more. They started to run the ball more. And then when they played the Eagles, they completely befuddled that whole offense. I mean, and I just don't know if they have the talent right now overall on the offensive side of the ball to overcome the defense the way they are. I just don't see it. If we were injured,
I hope you are correct.
Hey, man. I mean, you may be right, but I'm just saying divisional games, like we have a lot of high expectations. Like we're going to go out there and we're just going to smack them around and they're going to lay down and take it. And I don't think that's going to be the game. I think every game that we have from now through the Super Bowl, if we get there, which I want to, but if we get there, it's going to be knockdown drag out. I think they're going to be a lot uglier than people expect, and people are going to be on Facebook and social media whining and crying at halftime. And why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why can't we stop this? Why can't we stop that? I do believe in the end we're going to win, and I think we'll have times where we'll really click. But I feel like we're unstoppable because we're number 1 in the power rankings, right? And it's like, come on, y'all, calm down. Like game by game, just like the team, game by game. Let's go out here. We should beat the Commanders, but it's not a foregone conclusion. We can slip up. All 3 of the last games we have are divisional games. You know why they put divisional games at the end of the season? For situations like this, because the league understands that, hey, if we put these guys against teams that they play twice a year every year, at the end of the season, this is going to be some good football. There's not going to be a lot of blowouts. There'll be some, because some teams are just complete dog doo-doo garbage. We're not playing the Giants this week. The Giants have given up. We're not playing them. I think we'll only beat the Giants. We'll only lose to the Giants, in my opinion, if we play our backups and they play their starters, because I don't think Kenny Pickett is very good. But other than that, I don't see us even losing to the Giants.
Kenny Pickett's the real little hands.
But we got 2 games before that. And we need to win both of those games. And I actually have pulled it up. We need the Vikings or the Lions to lose. And then whoever loses has to beat the other team.
Yeah, it's a lot. Slim
well,
and
listen,
done.
If people like to say the NFL has a script and they want to make it more interesting, well, the way to make it more interesting is to have the Vikings and Lions lose this week. So that's it. But I will say this. I think that we're going to have a big A.J. Brown 50-yard pass play and a Saquon Barkley 60-yard plus run, because they have a propensity of not being able to correctly predict what they have to do in a play action situation from the Commander side of the ball in the defense.
All right, Godfrey, propensity.
So I'm just saying, man, that's what I see. But what I wanted to ask you guys before we get out of here, should the Eagles be pushing for the record with Saquon Barkley? What do you guys feel about that?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes, until it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Give them the chance.
So
if you're out there,
if they lose
down like 2 touchdowns,
if they lose this week and they cannot get the 1 seed and they've locked up the 2 and they got to play the first week of the playoffs, I don't think he should be playing last game versus New York.
Well, I think Nick will ask him, just like he asked him if you want to keep going against the Giants. And if it's in earshot, no matter what the situation is in the season, he's going to put that exclamation point and play with that chip on his shoulder and break that record against the New York Giants. Because to me, that's a poetic ending. Oh, you didn't think I was worth it? I just broke Eric Dickerson's record against you guys. I think that's how the season's going to end, on a 3-game win streak.
I do want to say this. It's a little off topic, but it's about Saquon. Also in 2017, a big thing that happened was we got a running back from another team, still in his prime years, and he went out there and played really good for us. We got that again. So we got some things that I feel like line up and correspond with that season. But at the same time, I don't want to get too, because the thing is, I feel like, and this is what happens, I think, the Cowboys fans every year. They believe, they buy into this in the offseason, that they are going to be a contender for the Super Bowl and they're going to win the Super Bowl, right? So then as they start to suck throughout the season, you just get angry. You got guys busting TVs, you know what I'm saying? Like losing their mind and burning jerseys. You got
can't
guys
be a contender when your quarterback's middle name is Rain. Rain? Come on.
Well, actually, I think
Pretty
his
sure his first name's Rain.
Yeah, it's actually Rain Dakota.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's even worse.
Yes.
It's even worse. I don't know. You're
That's why I call him RDP.
Yeah, RDP. Like,
But
that's funny.
I just, like, I feel like we don't enjoy the ride. And that's why a lot of people be angry. Like, enjoy the ride. Like,
Yeah,
we know where the destination we want to go, but enjoy the ride. Let's see what we do this week.
I'm not thinking about Super Bowl until the damn season ends and I see the first playoff matchup. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not thinking about the Super Bowl until we get there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I feel you on that. But listen, let's wrap things up. Anybody got any counterfeit greens?
My counterfeit green is Philadelphia media. Stop it.
All right.
My counterfeit green is Jalen Hurts talking to Philadelphia media.
My counterfeit green is AJ Brown, not because he's fake, but he knew he was greasing that wheel. He wanted that ball, and he was like, let me be squeaky right now, and he got exactly what he wanted in the form of 10 catches, 108 10 catches. So good for you, AJ. I cashed in on that. I put $100 cold money on an AJ Brown anytime touchdown. I knew it was happening. I was like, here we go, and sure enough, it did. I was like, thank you for that 250, whatever. Got down to plus 115. That's how everybody else knew that was going to happen too. But anyway, with that being said, folks, we got another show to do over on Wire to Wire, Sideline to Sideline. We're going to talk about all the NFL, Woody Johnson and his Madden rating structure in the New York Jets. Thank God we're the right green team, because that would suck. Wow, Jets. Yeah. I would leave as a fan. I would be like, I'm out. Anyway, with that being said, this is the Godfrey saying goodbye. I guess next time it'll be Christmas. Past Christmas. So happy holidays, everybody. Cool saying goodbye. The NFL genius, and this is not saying goodbye. Just saying have a deep Christmas.